Hello everyone, I'm Dr. Rani Samuel, clinical psychologist and author. Today, I want to talk to you about healing and try and answer the question, what is healing? From what I've seen in my clinical practice with quite a few thousands of patients now, and in my own life, healing is a very personal experience. It's that process to transcend pain and suffering and come into a place of freedom and wholeness in spirit, soul, and body. It's a journey. It's never an event. And as many patients as I've seen, I have been part of as many journeys. It's almost like we develop a customized therapy process for every single patient that walks through my doors. Every January, most of my patients come back and tell me about their holidays. They tell me the good, the bad, and the ugly of their holidays. And it's quite sad to hear of negative experiences where they go to exotic locations and five-star hotels and engage in family conflicts and arguments and, walk out and one person taking a plane and coming home earlier. And many of them making decisions that they will never go on holiday with their families again. This year, I heard the most delightful and heartwarming account of one of my patients. Her name is Serena, and she's in her late 30s, but Serena is a young widow, and she has a preteen son whose name is Jaden. And they spent their holiday in Cape Town. They were there for about 10 days, and it was their first holiday together as mom and son. Four years ago, Serena and Jaden returned home to their little home in the suburbs to the most horrific experience. Serena's husband, Nash, had hung himself from the bathroom rafters. And they had this heart-wrenching task of cutting the rope and laying his body on the bathroom floor. And, I remember her telling me that how her mind could not compute that experience. And she said she walked into the bathroom and wondering, why is he standing there and why is he looking so tall? And this started a traumatic process for Serena and Jaden. When the paramedics did arrive, he was declared deceased at the scene. It became a time of crisis and high trauma. And that's when she consulted me for clinical care. And Jaden was sent to a different psychologist who specialized in trauma in young children. She was clearly blindsided by this horrific suicide. But when we sat down together and we started unpacking her husband's history from childhood, and we realized that the trauma ran all across from the time he was actually in his mother's womb, because during that time his father was having an affair and had a mistress, and the mother was distressed because she was pregnant. And his entire life was one of wearing masks where he pretended, and at some point I guess he also, a part of him he was like this best husband and best dad one could get. And what Serena told me was that she regretted playing along with this masquerade. because it never allowed her to actually get down and get to the root of problems. But she had an onslaught of public trauma after his funeral because he left their lives in a financial mess and she had to start cleaning up. She had suddenly become a single parent and she didn't know how to do that because they did everything together. Although she had no knowledge of his financial dealings. Then she faced an onslaught of public ridicule. You see, Nash was a very extroverted, helpful, generous, friendly guy. He was everybody's friend. And everyone blamed Serena for his sudden loss of life. And she had to deal with the shame and blame and protect his reputation, even though there was so much darkness in it. And it was a long list of things to deal with. And that's what we did week after week and month after month for all these years. So how did she get from this unspeakable loss to getting to a place of truly enjoying a family holiday with her son 4 years later? Because she delighted in it. I could hear it in her voice and I could hear it when we had our session this year. She was no longer overwhelmed by the unending anxiety. And I can truly tell you, she loved her husband. She was in love with him through it all. But Serena and I embarked on a journey of healing, and we were like fellow travelers on this. I was her guide, and I knew the landscape of grief because I've walked it so many times with so many people and my own. And this therapeutic journey for her was very unique. And we began a process of, I would say, spiritual health, emotional health, and physical health. So for Serena, spiritually, she grounded herself in the wisdom of the Bible. That was her companion. It's like the scriptures came alive to her, and all the scriptures about healing. It wasn't just positive affirmation. She had a relationship with the God of the Bible, and the Bible became her light in the darkness. And that's where the spiritual health started coming from. Therapy was the place where we focused on a lot of the emotional health, the safe space, that place where you could come in and there was no blame or shame in that place, because then her family and friends began to shun her. And I became the person that she could rely on and keep all the secrets safe. And they will always be safe in a therapeutic space. Physically, she suffered greatly because whatever happens in the spirit and whatever happens emotionally will affect your body. And the reverse is also true. Gain in the spirit, gain emotionally, and your body starts to restore itself. Over this time, the confluence of spirit, soul, and body began to give us results as the years went. There was a deep strengthening in her heart. There was a resilience. There was purpose, and she started for the first time discovering who she is outside the confines of a prison-like marriage. Her journey continues to this day, and she makes these gains. So what exactly does the word healing mean? Healing comes from the Greek word therapia, and it means cure, which means coming into a state of wholeness and completion. And words such as therapist and therapia, therapist and therapy come from the word therapia. There's also an old English word called halon, which also means healing. And the root word of halon is hell, H-A-L, which means holy. So to heal is in fact a holy undertaking. There's a vertical relationship with God and a horizontal relationship with those that care for you here that brings about this level of completeness and wholeness and is part of the formula of the cure that all of us are so desperately seeking. So today, I want you to start seeing your healing as a journey. It's not an event. It's not solved by certain 5-step or 10-step programs. And it does not respond to the latest trends. Those are quick and fast fixes that are very temporary. I want you to reflect on yourself, spirit, soul, and body, and look at these 3 dimensions in terms of your healing journey. Where are you now, and where do you need to change? And what baby steps could you take in those particular dimensions? Thank you for listening. I will see you next time.